Now to the chilling turn tonight in the killing of a dentist and his wife in Columbus, Ohio. That case we've been following. That wife's ex-husband is now charged with murder tonight, and how they tracked him down. Here's Alex Perez.
Tonight, after a 10-day manhunt for the killer of Ohio dentist Spencer Tepe and his wife Monique, investigators now say they were shot by Monique's ex-husband. 39-year-old Michael McKee arrested, facing aggravated murder charges, appearing today in an Illinois courtroom, agreeing to be extradited to Ohio.
Your name, sir, for the record? Michael McKee.
Investigators say they tracked the ex-husband through neighborhood surveillance video, linking him to a vehicle which arrived just prior to the homicides and left shortly after. That car eventually found located 400 miles away in Rockford, Illinois. Neighbors stunned.
He did not seem like somebody that would do something like that.
On December 30th, 2025, a man moved through an alley in Columbus, Ohio. The neighborhood was asleep. Streetlights hummed. Frost clung to parked cars. No alarms. No barking dogs. No witnesses. Minutes later, inside a quiet home on North 4th Street, 16 gunshots were fired. No one called 911. Downstairs, 2 children, just 4 and 1 years old, slept through the violence that ended their parents' lives upstairs. The shots were muffled, controlled, almost clinical. When morning came, the house still looked ordinary. It wasn't until Spencer Tepe failed to arrive at his dental office that concern turned into panic. By 10:04 a.m., police were standing in a bedroom soaked in blood. There were no signs of forced entry. Nothing stolen. No chaos beyond that single room. This wasn't random. It was deliberate. And as detectives began tracing movements in the hours before the attack, a chilling pattern emerged. One that didn't start that night. It started years earlier, with a marriage that ended, with threats that never fully stopped, with someone who refused to let go. By the time investigators identified their suspect, the question was no longer whether this was personal. The question was how long it had been coming. To understand what happened, we had to begin before the violence, before the police tape, before the headlines, with the life Spencer and Monique built, and the past that followed. If you want to go beyond the headlines and explore the psychology behind the crime, subscribe to Dread Psychology. We reveal the motives, patterns, and warning signs that others overlook. Tap subscribe, turn on notification, and join us as we uncover what really drives human behavior. Spencer L. Tepe was born on December 9, 1988, in Cincinnati, Ohio. From an early age, he valued education, service, and kindness. He earned his dental degree from the Ohio State University and built a career focused on making patients feel comfortable. Colleagues remembered his light-hearted humor, fun socks, and the way he eased even the most nervous visitors. Beyond dentistry, Spencer mentored through big brothers, big sisters, forming bonds that became part of both his life and the lives of the young people he guided. Monique F. Tepe, born Monique Sabatersky on October 14, 1986, in Chicago, moved to Worthington, Ohio, as a child. She grew up active, curious, and caring, playing sports, reading voraciously, and loving horses. She studied early childhood education at Ohio State University, reflecting her natural gift for teaching and nurturing. Friends described her as joyful, resilient, and deeply kind.
We just saw them at Christmas, and the last thing she said to me 3 weeks ago, and we were at Spencer and Maddie's parents', and she was like, "Gina, don't go, spend the night. We need to talk all night. Let's hang out all night. Let's have a drinks, just talk and be together." And she was just so sweet, and she was like that to everybody. And she just, there wasn't enough words in the world to describe how beautiful and kind she was.
Monique loved baking, board games, and creating a warm, cozy home, pouring her energy into her children and family life. Spencer and Monique met online in 2018. Their connection grew quickly into a relationship family described as full of love, respect, and a side of goofiness. They married on January 30th, 2021, in a private ceremony at their Columbus home, surrounded by loved ones.
Spencer, what can I say? From day one, I knew you were something special. I had quite a journey to get to you, countless bad bumble dates, wrong relationships and waterfalls of tears. But it was worth every cringing second because it led me to you. Throughout all of this, I knew that God was guiding me to my person, and that when I met him, it would be the most magical thing ever. And boy, is that an understatement. I finally found my lobster, and it honestly couldn't be a person with a more beautiful heart. I will love you forever, and I'm so lucky to be Mrs. Tepe.
They were just 1 month shy of their 5th anniversary when tragedy struck. Together, they built a life full of joy, welcoming 2 children, daughter Amelia and son Beckham, and a golden doodle that completed their home. Family photos show holidays, quiet evenings, and travels filled with laughter and connection. After their deaths, family statements capture their essence. They were extraordinary people whose lives were filled with love, joy, and deep connection to others. They loved to travel, laugh, and build a life rooted in love. They were proud parents and created a home filled with warmth and happiness. Spencer was remembered as intelligent, warm, and empathetic, with a passion for mentoring and making others smile. Monique was loving, joyful, and devoted to her family, bringing light and care to every space she entered. Brother-in-law Rob Misley described him as a glue in the family, always scenting love and planning for the future.
So their house in Columbus was just like a center for us to join them, and they were the glue of so many people in such a large community that they brought together. And they're just so loving and just so welcoming to people. And like, I have lifelong friends now that I never knew because of those 2 people.
Their lives, though tragically cut short, left a lasting imprint on friends, colleagues, and their community. While they had faced hardships in the past, together they created a safe, joyful, and loving home. The contrast between the happiness they built and the violence that ended it left everyone who knew them grappling with grief, but determined to honor their memory and protect the children they loved so deeply. Monique Tepe's marriage to Michael David McKee began with the promise of a new chapter, but soon deteriorated into a relationship defined by control, fear, and trauma. The couple wed on August 22, 2015, in Columbus, Ohio, according to Franklin County Domestic Court records. McKee, at the start of his career as a vascular surgeon, and Monique, a Worthington native with a degree in early childhood education from Ohio State University, entered the marriage without children and with no outward signs of trouble. The reality, as detailed in the unsealed probable cause affidavit from January 27, 2026, was far darker. Monique confided to friends and family that McKee had been abusive. One witness told Columbus police that Monique alleged he had strangled her during arguments and forced unwanted sexual encounters, acts that left her feeling isolated and terrified. These allegations, documented in statements gathered after the December 30th, 2025 killings, depict a pattern of coercive control extending beyond physical abuse into emotional domination. Monique described the behavior as tormenting, with McKee exerting power that left her feeling trapped. The marriage lasted less than 2 years. The couple separated after 7 months in March 2016, and Monique filed for divorce in April 2017, citing incompatibility. The decree was finalized in mid-2017 in Franklin County Common Pleas Court. No children resulted from the union, and filings did not include alimony, child support, or protection orders, a common choice for survivors seeking a swift, clean exit. Family members, including Spencer's brother-in-law Rob Misley, later emphasized that Monique was determined to leave, describing McKee as emotionally abusive and noting the lasting impact of the torment she endured.
He was terrified because he had threatened her life on multiple occasions when they were married. So she wasn't shy about talking to people about traumatic experiences that she had with her ex and just how emotionally abusive he was to her. It affected her to this day.
Even after the divorce, threats reportedly continued. In the affidavit, unsealed in Franklin County Municipal Court, McKee tells Monique he could kill her at any time, that he would find her and buy the house right next to her, and that she will always be his wife. Years after the separation, these statements reflected an obsession that refused to fade. Monique generally referred to him only as her ex-husband, highlighting both her fear and her desire to distance herself. No formal police reports of incidents between McKee and Monique appear in Columbus records prior to 2025. Police Chief Elaine Bryant noted this absence, but lack of documentation does not negate the accounts of those close to her. Survivors of coercive abuse often avoid formal channels due to fear, limited evidence, or hope that distance will end the cycle. After escaping, Monique rebuilt her life, meeting Spencer online in 2018, marrying him in January 2021, and starting a family, but anxiety about her former marriage lingered, sometimes prompting her to leave social events early when concerns about McKee arose. Professionally, McKee maintained a successful career as a vascular surgeon, working in Rockford and Chicago, Illinois, including at OSF St. Anthony Medical Center. He had no prior criminal record or publicly noted malpractice issues. Yet the contrast between his professional life and the private allegations from Monique's circle underscored the hidden patterns of control that can exist behind closed doors. As the investigation and subsequent court proceedings unfold, these details provide critical context for understanding what police have described as a domestic violence-related motive. The unsealed affidavits, drawn from witness testimony rather than contemporaneous filings, illustrate how abuse can persist invisibly for years, sometimes escalating only when the survivor appears to have fully moved on. Monique's escape in 2017 marked a break from that chapter, but the threats, as alleged, followed her into the life she built with Spencer, culminating in the tragic events of December 30th, 2025. These claims, while contested, remain a haunting thread in the story of a woman who sought safety and briefly found peace before the past returned with lethal force. On December 6, 2025, 3 weeks before the killings, Monique and Spencer traveled to Indiana with friends who attend a Big Ten championship football game, featuring their alma mater, Ohio State University. Midway through the second half, Monique abruptly left the stadium and returned to the hotel. When asked why, Spencer explained she was upset about something involving her ex-husband and needed space. Witness statements later included in the probable cause affidavit highlighted how McKee's presence continued to disrupt even celebratory moments in her life. That same day, surveillance captured a man matching McKee's description on the property at 1411 North 4th Street in Columbus's Wineland Park neighborhood. He entered through the alley, lingered for hours, then left. The footage showed no forced entry, but investigators interpreted it as reconnaissance. McKee was not scheduled to work at OSF St. Anthony Medical Center in Rockford, Illinois, that day, aligning with the investigative timeline of his movements. In the weeks that followed, Monique continued to express unease related to her ex-husband. No new formal complaints appeared in Columbus police records, but the pattern of fear was evident to those around her. The Tepes maintained their daily routines. Spencer at Athens Dental Depot, family time with their children, Amelia and Beckham, and quiet moments with their golden doodle. Yet the shadow of past threats, allegedly statements like he could kill her at any time, and she will always be his wife, remain present. Investigators believe the attack occurred in the pre-dawn hours of December 30th, between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., with some evidence pointing to approximately 3:52 a.m. McKee, a vascular surgeon based in Illinois, allegedly drove more than 300 miles to Columbus. To avoid detection, he left his phone at work the previous day, keeping it inactive for nearly 17 hours. Vehicle tracking data and surveillance place a silver SUV linked to him arriving shortly before the attack and departing soon after. Armed with a firearm fitted with a suppressor, the intruder entered the home, charged as aggravated burglary, with apparent knowledge of the layout. The assault targeted the upstairs bedroom, sparing the children and the family dog. Nothing was stolen, and 3 spent 9mm casings were recovered. The attack was rapid and precise. Spencer sustained 7 gunshot wounds, including defensive injuries suggesting he tried to protect Monique. She suffered 9 shots, including one at close range to the face, with autopsy evidence showing her heart continued beating during much of the assault. Both died within minutes, ruled homicides by the Franklin County Coroner's Office. The precision of the attack, 16 shots in total, children unharmed, underscored investigators' assessment of premeditation rather than a random act of violence. The household remained silent until morning. Spencer failed to arrive at work, raising alarms among colleagues who could not reach him or Monique. Around 9:57 a.m., a welfare check was requested.
Please check 107.
Yes, I would like to ask for a wellness check on an individual at their home.
Where are you calling from?
Well, I'm currently in the state of Florida. I'm on vacation, but this individual, Spencer, works with me, and he did not show up to work this morning, and we cannot get a hold of him or his family.
He didn't show up to work?
Correct.
Okay. Does he have medical problems or?
No, and he's been reliable, and we cannot get in touch with him, his wife, his family, anybody that lives in that house.
So
There's
you're
2
in
kids in the
Florida.
home. I'm in Florida. I own the business. I was informed by my employees that he was not at work, and he runs the office.
So did you receive information that he may have been involved in an accident or?
No, ma'am. I just know that he is he is always on time, and he would contact us if there is any issues whatsoever. And I just don't know how else to say this. We're very, very concerned because this is very out of character. And we can't get in touch with his wife, which is probably the more concerning thing.
Okay. We will send somebody over as soon as we have an officer available, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Police arrived at 10:04 a.m., discovered the bodies, and Columbus Fire Medic 7 pronounced them deceased at 10:11 a.m. 4 911 calls captured the escalating panic. One from a man who heard the children crying inside but could not enter.
Okay, what's the emergency there, police or medical?
Maybe both, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of doing the
we
wellness.
already had a call out there. They knocked on the front door and back door multiple times, and there was no answer.
Yeah, no answer. I can hear kids inside, and I swear I think I heard one yell, but we can't get in. At this point, I don't know if I need to break the door in or just get in the house or what. So.
Okay, were you out there when the police was out there?
I wasn't. I just got here about 5 minutes ago.
Okay, all right, well, we'll send them back out to you.
Okay, thanks.
Another from a female co-worker, and call from those who gained access and found Spencer unresponsive beside the bed amid visible blood.
Okay, what's the emergency there?
Our boss did not report to work. We haven't been able to get a hold of him for 3 hours. We are on site, and we can hear kids
Okay, I
inside.
just talked to somebody there.
Okay, I'm just making sure somebody called.
Yeah, I just got a call from somebody and sent it back up for dispatch.
Okay.
Are you there? Because you're not showing that you're at the
No, I'm
location.
en route there.
Okay, what is your name?
My name is Cam, C-A-M.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Okay, thank you so much.
There's a body. Our friend wasn't answering his phone. We just did a wellness check. We just came here, and he appears dead. Okay. There's blood. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood. I can't get closer to see more than that.
Okay, so you can tell he's obviously not breathing or anything.
Yeah.
Is it like kind of like huddle, does he look like?
It doesn't look puddled. I can't look.
Okay, all right.
This sequence, from the December 6th reconnaissance of Monique's distress, through deliberate travel and phone evasion, to the confined, lethal assault, forms the backbone of the prosecution's narrative of calculated, intentional action. Tepe family and community. These hours marked a moment when past threat became irreversible tragedy, leaving 2 young children to face a life without their parents. The investigation into Spencer and Monique Tepe's deaths began immediately after police arrived at their Wineland Park home on December 30th, 2025. Officers secured the property and began gathering evidence, noting the absence of forced entry or theft. While the children were placed safely with relatives, homicide detectives started piecing together the circumstances that pointed to a targeted attack. Forensic teams processed the scene meticulously, documenting spent casings and the confined nature of the assault. Surveillance footage soon emerged as a critical lead. On January 5th, 2026, police released video showing a hooded figure moving through the alley behind the Tepe residence during the early morning hours of December 30th. Cross-referencing earlier activity, detectives noted surveillance from December 6, 2025, capturing a man resembling Monique's ex-husband, Michael David McKee, lingering near the home while the couple attended a football game in Indiana. Vehicle tracking data further linked a silver SUV to the area during the relevant timeframes. Interviews with friends and family painted a troubling picture. Witness statements detailed years of alleged abuse and threats during and after Monique's 2015 to 2017 marriage to McKee. Friends and relatives recalled her fear, the psychological toll she carried, and the vigilance she maintained in her daily life. While no formal police reports existed post-divorce, investigators saw these accounts as crucial context for understanding a pattern of obsession that may have escalated into the fatal event. Physical and digital evidence strengthened the case. McKee's cell phone had been left inactive at his workplace in Rockford, Illinois, on December 29th, evading tracking during the critical window. Employment and residence records suggested deliberate attempts to obscure his movements. A search of his Chicago area property recovered a firearm later matched the casings at the Tepe home, aligning with surveillance and vehicle data that suggested premeditation. By January 10, 2026, authorities moved to apprehend McKee. He was arrested near his workplace in Rockford without incident and held pending extradition to Ohio. A grand jury subsequently indicted him on 4 counts of aggravated murder and 1 count of aggravated burglary. At his January 23rd arraignment, he pleaded not guilty to all charges and was detained without bond at the James A. Corn Correctional Center.
Your name, sir, for the record? Michael McKee. Have you had a chance to speak with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
What's your position at this time?
Yes, at this time, Your Honor, on behalf of Mr. McKee, I will assert his right to counsel. I will assert his right to remain silent. And Mr. McKee believes that the most expeditious manner in which he may defend himself against the charges pending in Ohio and to plead not guilty would be to waive his right to an extradition hearing and to have a governor's warrant and to agree to his immediate transportation to Ohio.
Understood, thank you. We will set this matter then for 2 o'clock on Monday for status on the transfer.
Thank you.
Anything else we can do today?
Not from
Thanks, everyone.
Court proceedings continued, with hearings rescheduled to allow further discovery and preparation, reflecting the case's complexity. Prosecutors emphasized the convergence of surveillance, ballistic evidence, and the history of threats, framing a narrative of prior calculation. The defense has yet to outline public strategies, leaving unresolved questions about the timeline, witness credibility, and interpretations of the digital and physical evidence. The loss of Spencer and Monique Tepe reshaped the lives of everyone who knew them. What had been a warm family home in Wineland Park became the center of unimaginable grief. Their 2 young children, Amelia, 4, and Beckham, 1, were physically unharmed but left without their parents. Close relatives assumed immediate care, working quietly to provide stability and comfort in the wake of sudden trauma. Family members later described the painful task of helping a 4-year-old grasp what forever means, recalling how she said goodbye at the memorial with heartbreaking innocence. In the days that followed, the family released statements that reflected both devastation and resolve. They described Spencer and Monique as loving partners and devoted parents whose lives revolved around connection, laughter, and building a future together. After an arrest was made, relatives released another statement. Today's arrest represents an important step toward justice for Monique and Spencer. Nothing can undo the devastating loss of 2 lives taken far too soon, but we are grateful to the City of Columbus Police Department, its investigators, and assisting law enforcement community whose tireless efforts helped to capture the person involved. We thank the community for the continued support, prayers, and compassion shown throughout this tragedy. As the case proceeds, we trust the justice system to hold the person responsible fully accountable. Monique and Spencer remain at the center of our hearts, and we carry forward their love as we surround and protect the 2 children they leave behind. We will continue to honor their lives and the light they brought into this world. Those closest to them began sharing personal memories rather than dwelling on the violence. Spencer was remembered for his empathy, his steady presence, and the way he showed up for others, whether mentoring, officiating weddings, or simply being present for family milestones. Monique was described as resilient and warm, someone who poured her energy into motherhood and friendship. Friends spoke of her strength and her ability to rebuild her life with optimism and courage. Support extended beyond family circles. Members of Spencer's professional community reflected on his kindness with patients and colleagues alike. Fundraising efforts were organized to assist with the children's long-term needs, drawing an outpouring of messages from strangers moved by the story. As court proceedings moved forward, attention increasingly shifted from the details of the crime to the future of the children and the memory of their parents. For family and friends, the path ahead centers on healing, holding on to the light Spencer and Monique brought into their lives, and ensuring that their story is remembered not only for how it ended, but for the love and stability they worked so hard to build. As of mid-February 2026, the prosecution of Michael David McKee remains in its preliminary stages. No trial date has been set, and recent developments have centered on procedural scheduling rather than new public revelations. McKee, 39, continues to be held without bond at the James A. Corn Correctional Center in Franklin County following his extradition from Illinois. He has entered not guilty pleas to 4 counts of aggravated murder and 1 count of aggravated burglary during his January 23rd arraignment in Franklin County Common Pleas Court. Court records show that a February 23rd status conference was initially placed on the docket, but was rescheduled to April 16th, 2026.
We're on the record. Make your appearance. Call your first case, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Stephen Schott, Dan Leonard, and Shayla Faber for the state. First case before the court, State of Ohio versus Michael McKee. It's 26 CR 253. There are 5 counts. 4 counts of aggravated murder, unclassified felonies, and 1 count of aggravated burglary, felony 1. Each of these counts come with a 3 and a 6-year firearm specification.
Thank you. Counsel, please make your appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Diane Benashing on behalf of Michael McKee.
Thank you.
Your Honor, with respect to the allegations, we would acknowledge receipt, waive reading, enter not guilty pleas to all counts contained therein. We would also waive bond at this time, although we certainly reserve the right to raise that at a later date. The plea of not guilty form has been executed and signed on behalf of my client. Nothing further.
Thank you, counsel. I've signed the not guilty plea. I'm signing the bond form indicating that bond has been waived. Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Next case, please.
Such adjustments are routine in complex homicide prosecutions, particularly those involving extensive forensic testing, digital analysis, and multi-state investigative coordination. The additional time allows both sides to complete discovery, review evidence, and prepare pretrial motions. Since the early February release of the coroner's findings, no additional physical evidence has been publicly disclosed. Prosecutors continue to rely on the foundation outlined in the previously unsealed affidavit, which includes surveillance documentation, digital activity records, vehicle data, witness statements, and forensic analysis. Together, those elements form the structure of the state's case as it moves toward trial preparation. Legal analysts note that the prosecution appears to be building a theory centered on planning and intent. Defense strategy has not been detailed publicly, though typical approaches in cases of this magnitude often involve scrutinizing timelines, challenging witness credibility, and testing the reliability of forensic links. These issues will likely surface in upcoming hearings as attorneys argue motions and define the boundaries of admissible evidence. Public attention remains steady, sustained by national and local coverage. Advocacy groups have also pointed to the case in broader conversations about intimate partner violence and long-term risk patterns. Still, Inside the courtroom, the process is methodical and deliberate, focused less on headlines and more on evidentiary standards. For the families involved, the legal timeline unfolds slowly against the permanence of loss. The April 16th hearing marks the next procedural milestone, but a full trial may still be months away. Until then, the case remains in the careful hands of the court, where the burden will ultimately rest on whether the evidence meets the standard required for conviction. Cases like this don't begin with violence. They begin with patterns. If this story changed how you see warning signs and escalation, subscribe to Dread Psychology and turn on notifications. We don't just tell stories, we examine the behavior behind them. Let's keep looking beneath the surface.